Alright guys, time for another recent get. I know it's been a little while since I've posted one of these videos. I apologize for that. But this is my most recent get. I actually picked this up yesterday off of Craigslist. It is a PlayStation 2, as you can see. However, I wouldn't just make a video of a regular old PlayStation 2 that you could just pick up for 30 or 40 bucks. Although I did get this for about the same price, but it's a little different than your average PlayStation 2. For one thing, this one came complete and in the box with all of the paperwork, and it is also a Japanese region PlayStation 2. Not only that, but it's actually a launch model PlayStation 2. This was actually purchased by a member of the Air Force who was stationed in Japan, and on March 4th, 2000, he went out and bought himself a PlayStation 2, and this is it. He said he played it for a few months and put it away in his closet, and he forgot that he had it until he found it the other day and decided to put it on Craigslist to see if anybody else wanted it. So fortunately, I found the ad a couple hours after he posted it and picked it up. So got it for what I consider to be a pretty good price. It's got a Messiah mod chip in it, which is one of the older mod chips, which is fitting for this model because being the launch model, this is literally the earliest revision of PlayStation 2. Now there's 20-something odd revisions. I mean, you include the Slims, but what makes this one so different is there were a couple of hardware changes that were made by the time that the PlayStation 2 was released in the United States that we didn't even see. So I'll show you some of those. If we look at the front of the PlayStation 2, nothing different here. It looks pretty standard. I think they've added infrared later on for the remote accessory that was released later. But otherwise, you just have your FireWire and USB ports. Memory card, everything looks pretty standard. As you can tell, this thing has barely been used. There's hardly a scratch on it. I mean, it is in beautiful condition. So move around to the back. Right here is where a sticker was that was holding this expansion bay card in. I've since peeled that off because I'll explain why. The ports on the back are pretty standard. Nothing unusual here. You've got regular AV multi-out, digital optical, audio out. Now, back to the expansion port, if you'll notice on the US or international PlayStation 2s, the non-Japan region models, the expansion port is different. It is a large area where you could actually slide a full-sized 3.5-inch desktop IDE hard drive in. However, on the original SCPH-10000 launch PlayStation 2s, like this model, the expansion card was basically a Type 2 PCMCIA card slot. Might be able to see in there, but it's actually a single PCMCIA Type 2, and that was the original design of the expansion port. Now, by the time we saw it, the expansion port was completely different. Now, what does this mean for some of the expansion devices, such as the broadband adapter? Well, in short, anything I buy, any broadband adapter that attaches to the back is not going to work. They did release a PC card to proprietary PS2 expansion plug adapter that you could buy only in Japan, and you could run a dongle to an external hard drive, and that hard drive would sit, either to the side, or you could sit on top of the unit, and it had HDD written on the side, just as in the same lettering as what you see here. It actually looks pretty cool, but yeah, I think the U.S. and international PS2s had a little bit better design since you could actually internalize the hard drive, but still cool nonetheless. As you can see, there's the model number, SCPH-10000. That is the very first model. A couple other things to note. The original launch PlayStation 2, and perhaps maybe the one or two versions after this, would not play DVDs natively. In fact, they came bundled with a DVD utilities disc. Basically, you pop this in, and this allowed you to install the codec to your memory card. So right out of the box, you couldn't put a DVD movie in and start watching it. You had to actually install the codec to your memory card first, and then you could watch DVDs. And why this was, I don't know. Maybe it had to do with some licensing with actually installing the DVD codec in ROM. But by the time we saw the PlayStation 2, they had already resolved all of this, and the codec was in ROM, and we could just play DVDs right out of the box. Kind of an interesting note about this console. Now, I've got all of the original paperwork here, as I'd mentioned before, and I even have the original purchase receipt, which is faded, being 13 years old. Over 13 years old. So you may be able to see the purchase price of 41,000 yen, which if you guys want to do the math on that, I don't know what the conversion would be. There it is. If you consider inflation, would be interesting to find out. Either way, it was expensive, being purchased on launch day. And I still have the original stickers for the memory card. Definitely a pretty good haul. Shamefully, I don't have any PlayStation 2 games yet, but having a mod chip in it, even though this console is region locked, it'll play the American games, but I can also order the Japanese games and play those as well. So that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for watching.